My son sent me a message on Christmas Eve. Don't come to our house for Christmas. My wife is against you. I smiled. Not because it didn't hurt, but because he had no idea who that house really belonged to. And why before the night ended, he would be standing at my door. I am 62 years old. Widowed. Quiet. The kind of woman people stop noticing once they believe her purpose has been fulfilled. The kind who fades politely into the background of family photos. The kind who is remembered only when something is needed. I raised my son alone after his father died. There was no dramatic goodbye. No final speech. Just a phone call, a hospital corridor that smelled like disinfectant, and the sudden understanding that my life had split into before and after. Before, I was a wife. After, I was everything. 2 jobs. One during the day, one that ended after midnight.
No weekends. No holidays.
Cold dinners eaten standing over the sink because sitting felt like admitting exhaustion. I learned to function on 4 hours of sleep and stubborn hope. I learned to stretch money, silence pain, and smile through parent-teacher meetings even when my feet throbbed inside cheap shoes. Every sacrifice had one purpose. So my son would never feel the fear I felt. So he could grow up safe, educated, confident. So he could believe the world was kind. That house he lives in now, the big one with the white gate, trimmed hedges, and Christmas lights carefully wrapped around the porch. That was my house. I bought it 30 years ago. Signed the papers with shaking hands and a pen that barely worked. Paid every loan installment myself. Every tax bill. Every repair. Every leaking pipe and cracked tile. Every brick holds my fingerprints. Every corner remembers my voice. I gave it to him 5 years ago. Not sold. Not rented. Given. I remember the day clearly. He stood in the living room, eyes wide, disbelief turning slowly into excitement. Live here, I told him. Start your family. Make it loud. Make it happy. I paused before adding, just remember, it is still legally in my name.
He laughed.
A soft, affectionate laugh. Mom, I would never forget you. I believed him. That was my mistake. Then he married Clara. At first, she smiled too much. The kind of smile that arrives before warmth does. The kind that feels rehearsed. She called me Mom loudly when others were around. Neighbors. Friends. Relatives. But when no one was listening, she used my first name. Short. Flat. As if testing how small she could make me feel. Little things changed first. The safest kind of cruelty. My photograph disappeared from the living room shelf, replaced by a minimalist clock. My old chair, the one near the window, was moved into storage because it didn't match the decor. Family dinners became shorter, then rarer, then optional. Visits turned into excuses. Excuses turned into silence. Messages became brief. Replies delayed. Calls unanswered. Until finally, this. Don't come for Christmas. My wife is against you. I sat alone in my apartment that night. A small place with thin walls and a heater that hummed like an old animal trying to stay alive. The smell of instant coffee filled the air. Bitter.
Familiar.
I reread the message again. And again. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I smiled. I replied with one word. Okay. No questions.
No protest. No explanation.
Then I turned my phone face down, like a conversation that had reached its natural end. People believe revenge is loud. That it needs shouting.
Tears. Chaos.
They're wrong. Real revenge is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. It waits. It allows people to believe they are safe. I sat there for a long time, listening to the heater hum, feeling the weight of every year I had given away without complaint. Then I stood up. I pulled open the old wooden drawer beneath my bed, the one that sticks unless you pull hard. It creaked, as if protesting being disturbed after so long. Inside was a brown envelope. Faded. Heavy. Documents. Original ownership papers. Property records. Tax receipts. Insurance letters. Stamped.
Signed.
Undeniable. The truth. The house was never fully transferred. Not legally. Not completely. I had delayed the final step. Not out of strategy. Not out of control. But instinct. Some quiet part of me had always known. Love without boundaries becomes permission. And permission becomes erasure. That night, I cooked slowly.
Rice. Der.
Steam rose gently, fogging the kitchen window. The clock ticked loudly, as if reminding me that time was still mine. Outside, fireworks exploded. Children laughed. Music drifted from open windows. I imagined them in my house. My house. Sitting at my table. Eating food I once cooked. Laughing without me. I remembered Clara once saying, "Old people ruin the mood." She said it smiling, but her eyes were cold. That was the moment something changed inside me. Not anger.
Resolve.
At 9 p.m., I called my lawyer. An old friend. Someone who had seen me sign those papers decades ago. He answered, surprised. "It's Christmas Eve." "I know," I said. Then quietly, "I want to reclaim my property." There was a long pause. The kind that carries weight. "Legally," he said slowly, "you can." "Are you sure?" I looked at the empty chair across from me. The chair my son once called his. Yes. By 10:30, the paperwork was prepared. Emergency claim. Valid immediately. At 11, I turned my phone back on. I sent one message.
Come by if you want to talk.
Nothing else. At 11:40, my phone rang. "Mom, what's happening? Why did a lawyer call? Why are police asking questions?" His voice was shaking. I said softly, "You told me not to come to your house. So I didn't." Silence. "Mom, please, it's Christmas. Come over." I hung up. At 12:15 a.m., there was a knock.
Careful.
Uncertain. I opened the door. My son stood there.
No coat.
Red eyes. Face pale. Behind him stood Clara. Arms crossed. Smile gone. She scanned my apartment like she was already judging it. "Mom, what did you do?" my son asked. I stepped aside. "Let them in." The room felt colder immediately. I picked up the brown envelope and placed it gently on the table. "That house belongs to me." Clara laughed sharply. "This is ridiculous." I looked at her calmly. "You removed my photo. You moved my chair. You erased my presence. You told my son I was a problem." My son whispered, "Mom, please. We can fix this." I shook my head slowly. "You fixed it already. When you chose silence instead of me." Clara snapped, "We have guests. Family. You can't just throw us out." I smiled softly. "You threw me out first." There was another knock. 2 officers stood there.
Calm.
Professional. They explained everything clearly. Temporary vacate order. Until legal resolution. My son collapsed into the chair, hands covering his face. Clara started yelling. "This is manipulation. You planned this." I said quietly.
No.
"You underestimated me." They were given time. Limited. Controlled. As they packed essentials, my apartment felt peaceful again. At the door, my son turned. "Mom, where are we going to go?" I met his eyes. Not my house. The door closed. The silence afterward was heavy, but clean. The next morning, Christmas Day, I unlocked the door to my house. Not theirs.
Mine.
The tree still glowed softly. Lights blinking. Presents half opened. Food untouched. I walked through every room slowly, touching walls, breathing memories. I sat in my old chair, still warm. I didn't take the house to punish. I took it to exist. A week later, I transferred the house into a trust. Not in my son's name. Conditions. Respect.
Care.
Presence. He visits now. Alone. Often. He speaks quietly. Sometimes cries. Sometimes listens. Clara never returned. I forgive. But I do not forget. Because I am still his mother. But I am no longer invisible. And the house finally remembers who built it. I lost my son for one night. so I could finally stop losing myself.